The deep-sea research vessel Nautilus swayed gently in the Pacific waves, 300 miles off the coast of Chile. In the ship's main lab, Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her face against the electron microscope's eyepiece, her breath catching as she studied the crystalline structure before her. The sample, retrieved from hydrothermal vents at crushing depths, shouldn't have been possible according to conventional physics. "Morgan, are you seeing these readings?" Sarah called to her research partner without looking up. Dr. Morgan Patel looked up from his computer terminal, dark circles under his eyes testament to their 3-day research marathon. "The quantum fluctuations are off the charts," Morgan confirmed, fingers flying across his keyboard. "It's like the crystal is generating its own microscopic space-time distortions." "Sarah, if these readings are accurate." "They are. I've triple-checked everything." Sarah finally pulled away from the microscope, running her hands through her short black hair. "We're looking at a naturally occurring quantum field generator. The crystal's molecular structure somehow harnesses vacuum energy to create localized space-time distortions." The discovery had been pure accident. They'd been studying extremophile bacteria in deep-sea vents when their instruments detected bizarre energy signatures coming from crystalline formations near the bacterial colonies. 3 months and 5 deep-sea expeditions later, they had finally isolated the source. "The military's going to want this," Morgan said quietly, voicing what they were both thinking. "The applications for space travel alone." "I know." Sarah walked to the lab's window, staring out at the moonlit Pacific. "But think about what this means for humanity, Morgan. We're not just looking at a new power source or propulsion system. This could revolutionize our understanding of physics itself." A sharp knock at the lab door made them both jump. Captain Rivera stood in the doorway, his weathered face grave. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Patel, we're picking up something strange on our long-range sensors. You need to see this." In the ship's bridge, radar operator Lisa Torres pointed to her screen. "The anomaly appeared about 20 minutes ago. At first, we thought it was equipment malfunction, but..." She gestured to multiple displays showing the same reading. "Something's up there, just beyond lunar orbit. And it's big." Sarah leaned closer to the screen, her scientific curiosity warring with a growing sense of unease. The energy signature was unlike anything she'd ever seen. Except in one place. She pulled up the data from their crystal samples on a nearby terminal, comparing the readings. "The patterns are similar," she breathed. "Whatever's up there is generating quantum field distortions just like our crystals, but on a massive scale." Captain Rivera's hand tightened on his chair. "Are you saying there's a ship up there using technology similar to what you just discovered?" "I'm saying that's the most logical explanation. But that would mean..." "We're not alone," Morgan finished. "And they've mastered the technology we just stumbled upon." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had just taken its first steps into a much larger universe, but they weren't the first to make this journey. The question was, would the others welcome them, or see them as competition? Sarah's tablet chimed with an incoming message from the research team's satellite uplink. Her eyes widened as she read it. "Multiple organizations around the globe are reporting similar anomalies. Whatever's up there, they're not trying to hide anymore." Captain Rivera straightened his uniform. "Dr. Chen, I need you to compile everything you have on these crystals. I'm calling in an emergency protocol. We're heading back to port immediately." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. The Nautilus made record time back to port, where a military escort was waiting. Sarah and Morgan found themselves whisked away to a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, their research samples carefully transported under heavy guard. Admiral Helena Wright, head of the newly formed Quantum Defense Initiative, studied the crystal samples through reinforced glass. "You're certain about the military applications?" Sarah nodded. "The crystals generate stable quantum fields that could theoretically be used for propulsion, weapons, or defensive systems. But we've barely scratched the surface of understanding how they work." "We may not have time for a complete understanding," the Admiral replied grimly. Our visitors aren't being subtle anymore. They've positioned ships in high orbit over every major military installation on Earth. No communication, no demands. They're just watching, testing us, Morgan suggested, seeing how we react. Then let's show them humanity isn't as primitive as they might think. Sarah pulled up her preliminary designs on a nearby screen. We can use the crystals to build something they won't expect. A ship that doesn't just use quantum fields, it manipulates them in ways they might not have considered. Admiral Wright's eyes narrowed as she studied the designs. How long? With unlimited resources and the right team. 6 months to a working prototype. But Admiral, Sarah hesitated. We need to consider the possibility that they might not be hostile. This could be a first contact scenario, or they could be sizing us up for invasion. The Admiral's voice was steel. I'm not willing to bet humanity's future on their benevolence. You have your 6 months, Dr. Chen. Assemble your team. Whatever these visitors want, we'll be ready. As Sarah and Morgan left the briefing room, they passed a massive window overlooking the facility's main construction bay. Engineers were already clearing space, preparing for the largest secret project in human history. 6 months to build humanity's first quantum warship, Morgan mused. Think we can do it? Sarah watched the activity below, her mind already racing with calculations and possibilities. We have to. Because I have a feeling our visitors won't wait much longer to make their intentions known. High above Earth, invisible to conventional sensors, the Arxon observation fleet maintained their vigil. Supreme Commander Vex Terry studied the readings from the primitive planet below with growing concern. These humans had discovered quantum manipulation far sooner than predicted. The question now was whether to crush them immediately or wait and see what other surprises they might reveal. Either way, humanity's age of isolation was about to end. The only question was whether they would enter the galactic stage on their own terms, or in chains. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Project Sentinel had transformed the military bunker into a hive of controlled chaos. 3 months into construction, Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck, watching crews assemble the massive quantum drive core. The crystalline structure at its heart pulsed with an ethereal blue light, each beat sending ripples through the surrounding quantum field monitors. We're pushing the boundaries of theoretical physics, Dr. Marcus Wong, the project's lead engineer, said as he joined her at the window. The quantum field harmonics are stable, but we're seeing effects we can't fully explain. It's like the crystals are teaching us. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the core. Every test reveals new properties. The crystals don't just manipulate space-time. They respond to it, almost like they're alive. The ship taking shape around the core bore little resemblance to conventional spacecraft. Its hull, crafted from advanced metamaterials, was designed to channel and amplify the quantum fields generated by the crystal array. The result was a vessel that looked more like a predatory sea creature than a traditional warship, all smooth curves and flowing lines. Commander James Rivera, selected to captain the Sentinel, approached with a tablet in hand. Dr. Chen, we've got something unusual from our deep space monitoring stations. The visitors are moving. The tactical display showed the alien vessels shifting positions, maintaining their watch over Earth, but in a new pattern. It's like they're creating gaps in their coverage, Rivera observed. Testing our response, maybe. Or they've detected our project, Sarah replied. The quantum fields we're generating aren't exactly subtle. A klaxon suddenly blared through the facility. Red warning lights flashed as technicians rushed to their stations. Quantum surge detected. Marcus shouted, racing to his console. The core is generating spontaneous field fluctuations. Sarah was already moving, her fingers flying across the nearest terminal. The crystal array's output had spiked dramatically, creating cascading ripples through the surrounding space-time. But instead of the catastrophic overload they'd feared, the readings showed something else entirely. It's not random, she breathed, studying the patterns. The crystals are resonating with something. Multiple somethings. She looked up at Rivera. The alien ships, they're using similar technology. Our core is detecting their quantum fields and trying to communicate. Rivera's face hardened. Can they trace it back to us? Unknown, Marcus replied, still working furiously at his station. But we should assume yes. The question is, why now? We've been working with these crystals for months. Sarah's mind raced, connecting dots she hadn't seen before. Scale. We've never assembled this many crystals in one place. The combined field strength must have reached some critical threshold that their sensors can detect. Admiral Wright strode onto the observation deck, her presence immediately commanding attention. Then we've lost the element of surprise. How soon can the Sentinel be ready for launch? Marcus exchanged glances with Sarah. The drive core is operational. Secondary systems are at 80%. Weapons and defensive systems are untested, but they'll have to be tested in the field. Rivera finished. Admiral, request permission to begin crew integration immediately. If we're going to face whatever's coming, we need our people to understand this ship's capabilities. Wright nodded sharply. Granted. Dr. Chen, you and your team will be aboard as technical advisors. I want everyone drilling around the clock. Something tells me our visitors won't wait much longer to make their move. As if in response to her words, the facility's communications officer burst onto the deck. Admiral, we're picking up transmissions. Massive energy signatures entering the solar system. The observation fleet is being reinforced. The tactical display updated, showing dozens of new contacts emerging from what appeared to be artificial wormholes beyond Mars' orbit. The alien ships were larger than the observation vessels, their designs clearly militant. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore, Rivera said quietly. That's an invasion fleet. Sarah watched the alien armadas approach, her heart racing, but her mind clear. They think they know what we're capable of. They've watched us, studied us, probably dismissed us as primitives who stumbled onto technology we can't possibly understand. She turned to face the assembled leaders, her voice steady. But they're wrong. We haven't just copied their quantum technology. We found new ways to use it. The Sentinel isn't just a warship. It's humanity's declaration that we won't be underestimated. Admiral Wright's smile was razor-thin. Then let's show them exactly what humanity can do. Commander Rivera, begin launch preparations. Dr. Chen, Dr. Wang, make sure this ship has every advantage we can give it. If they want to test us, they'll find we're full of surprises. In the construction bay below, the Sentinel's quantum core pulsed brighter, its crystalline heart beating in harmony with the distant alien ships. The game of observation was over. Soon, humanity would face its first test among the stars, not as supplicants begging for acceptance, but as equals demanding respect. And in high orbit, Supreme Commander Vex Terry received the reports of humanity's quantum signature with growing unease. These primitives had not only mastered crystal harmonics, but were implementing them in ways the Arxen had never considered. Perhaps it was time to reevaluate the threat assessment. Either way, the humans would soon learn their place in the galactic hierarchy, one way or another. The U.S. Sentinel rose from its underground berth like a Leviathan awakening, its quantum core humming with barely contained power. In the command center, Commander Rivera watched his crew work with practiced efficiency, though every one of them felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Quantum drive nominal. Sarah Chen reported from her station, monitoring the crystalline heart of their ship. Field harmonics are stable and responding to control inputs. We're ready, Commander. All hands, battle stations, Rivera ordered, his voice calm despite the tension. Let's introduce ourselves to our visitors. The Sentinel broke through the cloud cover into the night sky, its metamaterial hull absorbing radar and light alike. But stealth wasn't their goal anymore. The quantum signature of their drive core blazed like a beacon to the alien fleet. The response was immediate. A massive vessel, easily 3 times the size of the Sentinel, detached from the Arxen fleet and descended into low Earth orbit. The alien ship's design spoke of overwhelming power and absolute confidence, all sharp angles and aggressive lines. Incoming transmission. Communications Officer Maria Santos announced. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Supreme Commander Vexteri. The alien's form was insectoid yet regal, with compound eyes that seemed to shimmer with internal light. When it spoke, its words were translated by an artificial intelligence that made them sound almost musical. Humans of Earth, Vexteri began, you have surprised us. We expected to find primitives playing with forces beyond their comprehension. Instead, we find you have built something interesting. The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement, but interesting does not mean worthy. Surrender your quantum technology, submit to Arxen guidance, and your species will be elevated properly. Resist, and we will take it anyway. Rivera stood from his command chair, facing the hologram. Supreme Commander, humanity appreciates your offer, but we prefer to elevate ourselves. The quantum crystals were found in our oceans, developed by our scientists, and built into this ship by our engineers. We've earned our place among the stars. Earned? Vexteri's translator couldn't quite capture the mix of contempt and amazement in the alien's voice. You are children who have found their parents' weapon. You cannot possibly understand. The alien's words cut off as Sarah's console erupted with warnings. Multiple quantum signatures, their powering weapons. The Arxen flagship unleashed a barrage of energy that should have atomized the Sentinel. Instead, Sarah's fingers danced across her console, and the quantum fields around their ship shifted in ways the aliens had never seen. The deadly energy dispersed harmlessly, absorbed and redirected by the crystalline array. Impossible. Vexteri's composed demeanor cracked. Our weapons are based on principles your species cannot understand. Sarah cut in, her voice steady as she worked. Commander, the crystals are showing us something. Their weapons use quantum fields to deliver energy, but they're so focused on raw power that they've missed the subtle applications. We can do more than just defend against them. Rivera nodded. Show them. The Sentinel's quantum core pulsed, and space itself seemed to hiccup. The Arxen flagship shields flickered as their carefully tuned quantum fields were disrupted by harmonics they'd never encountered. Their weapons powered down, caught in a cascade of interference patterns that Sarah's research had discovered purely by accident. What have you done? Vexteri demanded, all pretense of superiority gone. We studied the crystals with fresh eyes, Sarah explained, unable to keep a note of pride from her voice. Where you saw weapons, we saw possibilities. Your quantum technology is incredibly advanced, but you stopped looking for new applications centuries ago. We're still learning, still discovering, still innovating. Rivera stepped forward again. This is your only warning. Supreme Commander, Earth is not yours to conquer or elevate. We're offering peaceful cooperation between equals. The choice to accept or reject that offer is yours. The Arxen flagship hung powerless in orbit, its crew frantically trying to restore their systems. Vexteri's compound eyes studied the humans with new understanding and perhaps a trace of fear. You would dare dictate terms. The Arxen collective has dominated space for millennia. We have conquered species far older than yours. Then perhaps it's time for something new, Rivera suggested. Humanity doesn't want conquest. We want exploration, discovery, and peaceful exchange of knowledge. But we will defend ourselves if forced. As if to emphasize his point, the Sentinel's quantum fields pulsed again, creating ripples in spacetime that the Arxen sensors struggled to comprehend. Their flagship's systems came back online, but the message was clear. Humanity could shut them down at will. Vexteri was silent for a long moment. When the alien spoke again, its tone had changed. Perhaps we have been hasty in our judgment. The collective will need time to reevaluate its position regarding humanity. Take all the time you need, Rivera replied. We'll be here. The alien transmission cut off, and the flagship began a dignified retreat to the main fleet. On the Sentinel's bridge, the crew maintained their professional demeanor until the aliens were out of range. Then cheers erupted, months of tension finally finding release. Sarah slumped at her station, exhausted but smiling. What they'd achieved today would reshape humanity's future. The quantum crystals hadn't just given them the power to stand against alien aggression. They'd provided a key to unlocking the universe's deeper mysteries. High above, the Arxen fleet began to withdraw, their observation posts maintaining a respectful distance. Humanity had proven itself more than just another primitive species to be conquered or uplifted. They had shown innovation the collective hadn't thought possible, adaptation that defied expectation, and courage that demanded respect. The age of human isolation was indeed over, but not in the way the Arxen had planned. Instead of finding servants or subjects, they had discovered equals. The galaxy would never be the same. Supreme Commander Vex Terry's retreat was not, as humanity had hoped, a sign of acceptance. It was merely a pause to gather reinforcements. 2 weeks after the first confrontation, the sensors on Luna Base detected massive quantum disturbances at the edge of the solar system. "They're back," Sarah announced grimly in the Sentinel's command center. "And they've brought friends." The tactical display showed hundreds of Arxen warships emerging from quantum space, their signatures dwarfing anything they'd seen before. At their center was a vessel that made their previous flagship look tiny, a behemoth of crystalline technology that pulsed with enough power to destabilize the local space-time continuum. "That's the Arxen Worldbreaker," Commander Rivera said, studying the readings. "Their ultimate weapon. They've only deployed it 3 times in their recorded history, each time to end a civilization that defied them." Sarah's fingers flew across her console, analyzing the quantum signatures. The crystalline array in that ship, it's massive. They're not just trying to defeat us, they're planning to make an example of us. The emergency conference with Earth's leadership was brief. The message was clear. Humanity would not bow, would not surrender, would not accept subjugation. The Sentinel would stand against the Arxen Armada, buying time for the rest of Earth's quantum fleet to complete construction. "All hands," Rivera's voice echoed through the ship. "What we do today will be remembered for as long as humanity exists. We face an enemy that believes their advanced age gives them the right to determine our fate. We're about to show them that innovation trumps tradition." The Sentinel moved to intercept the approaching fleet, its quantum core pulsing with newfound harmonics that Sarah and her team had discovered. They'd spent the past 2 weeks pushing the boundaries of what their crystalline technology could do, finding applications the Arxen had never imagined. The Worldbreaker fired first, a quantum lance that should have torn reality itself apart. But Sarah was ready. The Sentinel's fields shifted in ways that defied conventional physics, redirecting the massive energy burst into a recursive loop that fed back into their own systems. "Now," Sarah shouted, "while their main weapon is cycling." The Sentinel's response wasn't a conventional attack. Instead, they unleashed what Sarah called a quantum cascade, a carefully tuned series of field manipulations that created a ripple effect through the Arxen fleet's crystalline systems. Ships began losing power as their quantum cores fell out of alignment, centuries-old technology, unable to adapt to the new paradigms humanity had discovered. But the Worldbreaker was different. Its massive crystalline array adapted, learning from the attack. The behemoth turned its full attention to the Sentinel, unleashing a barrage that tested the limits of their innovations. Multiple quantum field breaches, Marcus called from engineering. The crystals are reaching critical resonance. Sarah's mind raced. The Arxen weapon was overwhelming them with brute force, but there was something about the way their fields interacted. "Commander, I have an idea. It's either brilliant or suicidal. Given our options, I'll take either," Rivera replied, gripping his chair as another blast rocked the ship. "Their quantum technology is more refined than ours, more powerful," Sarah explained, already making adjustments. "But it's also more rigid. If we deliberately destabilize our crystal array, create a quantum feedback loop. Understanding dawned in Rivera's eyes. We'd be like a quantum virus, infecting their systems with chaos they can't control. Exactly. But we'd be riding the wave of that chaos. One mistake, and we'd tear ourselves apart. Rivera looked at his crew, saw the determination in their eyes. Do it. Sarah initiated the sequence, and the Sentinel's quantum core began to pulse erratically. Warning alarms blared as they deliberately pushed their systems beyond safe limits. The crystalline array sang with discordant energies that rippled through space-time itself. The effect on the Arxen fleet was immediate and catastrophic. Their perfectly tuned quantum systems, designed to work in precise harmony, couldn't handle the chaotic fluctuations. Ships began losing power, their crews unable to comprehend what was happening as humanity's primitive technology rewrote the rules of quantum warfare. The world breaker itself shuddered as the cascade reached its crystalline heart. The massive ship's quantum fields tried to adapt, but each adjustment only made things worse. The chaos spread exponentially, feeding back through their entire fleet. They're pulling back. Tactical reported. The entire fleet is retreating. On the main screen, Supreme Commander Vexteri appeared one final time. The alien's compound eyes studied the humans with what might have been respect. You are not what we expected. Perhaps the galaxy is ready for something new. The Arxen fleet vanished into quantum space, leaving behind a profound silence and a changed solar system. The battle for Sol was over, but its implications would echo through the galaxy. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had innovated their way to victory, proving that youth and creativity could triumph over age and tradition. Send word to Earth, Rivera ordered. The sky is clear, and I think we've earned ourselves a seat at the galactic table. Sarah looked at the quantum readings, still processing what they'd achieved. They hadn't just defended Earth, they'd revolutionized their understanding of quantum physics itself. The crystals had shown them possibilities that even their advanced adversaries had never imagined. The age of human isolation was over, replaced by something far more interesting: the age of human innovation. 6 months after the battle for Sol, the Sentinel docked at humanity's first quantum space station, Unity platform. Through its observation windows, Dr. Sarah Chen could see ships from a dozen alien civilizations, not just Arxen, but representatives from across the galaxy who had come to witness humanity's emergence onto the cosmic stage. Still can't believe we're hosting a galactic conference, Commander Rivera said, joining her at the window. A year ago, we didn't even know aliens existed. Now we're rewriting the rules of interstellar politics. The quantum crystals that had started everything were now the subject of intense study by multiple species. The Arxen's defeat had shattered millennia of technological stagnation, sparking a renaissance of quantum research across known space. The Council is ready, Maria Santos announced, now serving as Earth's diplomatic liaison. They're waiting for our presentation. The conference chamber housed representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations. Supreme Commander Vexteri sat among them, no longer an enemy but a cautious ally. The defeat had transformed Arxen society, forcing them to confront their own technological complacency. Sarah stood before the assembled delegates, activating a holographic display of the quantum crystal structure. What we discovered in Earth's oceans wasn't just a power source or a weapon. It was a key to understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself. The crystals don't just manipulate quantum fields, they reveal patterns in the fabric of space-time that we're only beginning to comprehend. The alien delegates murmured as she displayed the latest research data. By studying these patterns with fresh eyes, unburdened by traditional assumptions, we found applications that challenge our basic understanding of physics. But more importantly, we've learned that true advancement comes not from age or power, but from maintaining our curiosity and willingness to question everything. Dr. Marcus Wong took over, presenting the technological breakthroughs they'd made. The quantum cascade effect that had defeated the Arxen fleet was now being adapted for peaceful purposes, from revolutionary medical treatments to more efficient space travel. A representative from the Kilari, one of the galaxy's oldest species, raised an appendage. Your innovations are disturbing. You change too much, too quickly. How can we trust such rapid advancement? Perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needs, Vex Terry responded, surprising everyone. For too long, we advanced species have been custodians of knowledge, believing our age gave us wisdom. The humans have shown us that wisdom can come from seeing things anew. Rivera stepped forward. We don't seek to disrupt your civilizations or challenge your authority. But we won't be held back by tradition when the universe offers so many possibilities to explore. We propose a new era of cooperation, where experience and innovation work together. The debate lasted for hours, but the outcome was clear. Humanity would join the galactic community not as students or subjects, but as peers. Their quantum discoveries had earned them respect, but it was their approach to knowledge itself that truly set them apart. Back on the Sentinel, Sarah studied the crystal array that had changed everything. The quantum fields pulsed with newfound harmonics, hinting at mysteries still waiting to be solved. What do you think we'll discover next? Marcus asked, joining her in the core chamber. That's the beauty of it, Sarah replied, smiling. We have no idea. And that's exactly why we'll find it. Above them, Unity platform became a symbol of a transformed galaxy. Ships from ancient civilizations docked alongside new human vessels, their quantum drives singing in harmony. The age of stagnation was over, replaced by an era of discovery and collaboration. Humanity had not just survived first contact, they had transformed it into something entirely new. Their primitive perspective had sparked a revolution in thought that would ripple through the cosmos for millennia to come. And in the depths of Earth's oceans, more crystals waited to be found, their quantum secrets promising even greater wonders for those willing to look at the universe with new eyes. The end.